on YouTube and find this said live.
Back to school.
Like our new process, super efficient.
We're like, you know what? Let's make this worse.
Holy shit, I found it.
We can't go forward. Let's go backwards.
Oh, I found it.
You found it?
So good.
Wow. Nice job.
All right.
Damn, I miss Armand. I look so lonely over here.
Yeah.
You do.
Miss you, buddy.
You look like we're interviewing you.
AMA. Ask me anything.
So it says here you've got a gap on your resume from 2020 to 2022. Could you tell me about that?
I was in Australia living every day like it was a Saturday.
Oh, finding yourself.
yeah. I
What did you find?
found it. It is good. Let me tell you.
You actually did live in Australia, right?
I basically did do that. I took a gap and I went to Australia and I did find it. And
Okay, so you weren't always like this. This is like post Australia. You
yeah,
had like
this is post Australia.
aha moment in the surf.
Yeah, there
on
was
mushrooms or something.
no narcotics
You
over
went
there.
to Australia, high-strung, neurotic
Yeah.
mess.
No,
Your mom forced you to play the cello as a small boy.
I did have an Asian tiger mom.
You have a tiger mom?
Yeah.
Susan's pretty tigery. I feel.
You were oddly chill given the Asian tiger mom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Australia for you, man.
I lived on Bondi Beach for like a month.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
It was cool. But then I was like, this is just California with funny accents.
Yeah, but that's like Bondi is specifically, it's like the most famous beach in Sydney, right? Or Melbourne? Sydney?
I think it's closer to Sydney, right?
Yeah, I think it's like the most popular beach in Sydney. So it's like you're in the most populous city in Australia. You're just basically living like city life with a beach, which is basically San
So you were
Diego.
out in like the bush.
Well, I was in a small town. This town was population 10,000. It's called Byron Bay. But on any given night, there would be like a couple thousand backpackers in there. So it was like people only looking to travel and have fun. Young people. It was amazing.
Australia was the first time I ever spoke to an Asian girl and she talked back to me in an Australian accent, and it like hurt my brain.
You broke?
I broke.
What'd you say to her right away?
I think I went, hi.
You all right? You all right?
Yeah, and she said something like that. No, it was cool. It was cool. I saw Federer play in like the
Australian Open?
Australian Open finals back then
Sick.
too.
Wow.
I didn't really fully appreciate it at the time as much as I should have.
So the Australian Open, as I understand it, I've never been. It's like a big party. You know how like tennis is, it's kind of like golf where you have like this stuffy atmosphere, but Australian Open is like the party.
It's
of,
the waste management
Yeah.
tournament of tennis.
Dude, I want to go to the waste management.
We need to go on a like a major sports touring thing. We were talking about the World Cup for next year.
Yeah.
We keep talking about where should we travel next. Maybe we just
Oh my god,
Follow
we'll
the
do like
sports.
the endless summer, but just like major sporting events.
sports.
So you want to go to F1? Which one do you want to go to?
Doesn't matter. I'll go
Monaco?
anywhere. Nah, that one's boring to watch.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a procession.
Nobody
you watch
Nobody
any of
watches the
them?
sports.
Well, you're in the hospitality suite. So the hospitality suite has the TVs and the audio, and then usually it's at like a very good turn where cars actually pass each other. Because otherwise, you're just at this like one stretch of a 3 mile track, and you just see.
This just sounds like the dumbest thing ever.
I mean, it is more ideal to watch at home. That's for sure.
So what about like the Vegas one? Have you done that one?
No, I've thought about it twice, and every time I'm like, I just rather watch it at home.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's true that all sports are basically better at home.
but I actually want to watch the race.
NBA like front row courtside.
Oh,
is
yeah.
sick.
Hockey live. Is
Hockey
better.
live is sick. Hockey is so much worse on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's tons of sports that are way better in person.
We have San Diego has like I don't know what you call it, but like a AAA hockey team.
the Gulls.
The San Diego Gulls.
Yeah,
We got to go. We've been
awesome.
to a few
They
games.
just fight the whole time.
And like,
It's
They
amazing.
like build in the fights.
they kind of do. It's like accountants getting off to work and just brawling. And the what do you call it? Glass seats?
Ringside.
Ringside? Ringside?
They
Yeah.
definitely don't call them glass seats.
Okay, I don't know why they call it that. The ringside
On the-
seats
on the boards?
are cheap. Yeah.
They used to do like dollar beers on Fridays. I don't know if they still do that.
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Yeah, we did a team event there. It's cheapest team event we ever threw.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. I got to add that to my. They play at a Pachanga, right?
No, they play in a sports arena and just like
that
15
might be
minutes away.
called Pachanga.
Pachanga.
Oh, that's what it's called now?
Pachanga Arena.
Wow.
I'm going to see Shane Gillis there this weekend.
Oh, he's fun.
Yeah,
Oh.
looking forward to it.
What?
Somebody in my pickleball chat sold face value tickets.
Sweet
I was like,
invite,
yes, please.
bro.
That's pretty cool.
Would you have come?
To Shane Gillis? I think so, yeah.
Just bro date, you and me?
Yeah, that'd been fun.
Yucking it up.
Yickety up.
Yeah.
Speaking of yupping it up, what are you guys drinking?
Anybody in the chat? Oh, yeah. we
Yeah,
got some
they're in
people.
there.
All right. It's like a slow burn now. We have to
I know.
find the link ourselves and then disperse it out into the wild, and then people wander in.
That's okay. Well, I assume the audio and the visuals are good.
Hopefully people have like the notification bell on, They just get like a ping.
I'm sure they're just waiting
I would be.
with a bated breath. What are you drinking there, sir? Your classic?
My classic. I've been just been a negra modelo man lately. Did I say that right?
I think you did.
Okay.
That's weird to me that like the Spanish language, you like match the masculine and feminine with the last letter, but then like negra, modelo, they don't match. Explain that to me.
Modelo, I don't think is. Maybe it's not a gendered thing.
Defaults to masculine. Shouldn't it be Modelo Negro?
Yeah.
We'll take that up with them. I'm in here. Oh, Sambo in the chat says he's in our Noti gang.
And the what gang?
The Noti gang.
Yeah, notification gang.
Oh.
Shout out
We
to
need that.
Sam.
Shout out to the Noti gang.
Yeah.
That's a new thing.
Hell
Alfalfa
yeah.
Noti gang.
I feel old. All right, let's give a shout out to the sponsor.
Rolled right off the tongue.
Yeah. The Noti gang. All right, check out zbiotics.com/alfalfa and check out the pre-alcohol. I think it's just called the pre-alcohol. The pre-alcohol probiotic. For the record, did you or did you not steal Zbiotics from Armand?
Oh, I
today?
said to.
Oh, sorry. I was not supposed to mention it.
You blew it.
Yeah, it's currency around
I
here.
guess we'll find out if he listens to the episode.
Yeah.
He definitely has like fingerprint technology on his box.
So it's the pre-alcohol probiotic. You take it, I don't know, a few hours before you consume your Modelo Negro, and
Oh,
make
don't say
sure
it like that. That sounds so wrong.
I know, sorry. The next morning is not a rough one. So it's that nasty toxin acetaldehyde.
I was ready though.
You weren't ready. That makes you feel like shit in the morning. It's not the dehydration, so you can still take all your electrolytes, but that's not what does the trick. It's Zbiotics pre-alcohol. We like it. Everyone likes it. Everyone who's tried it has never thrown it back in my face. So that's good.
That's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah. And if you use
Nobody ever bought it and was like, hey, Nick, fuck you.
yeah, exactly. You ruined me. But yeah, use the code alfalfa at checkout. You get 15% off your first purchase. And yeah, if you don't like it, they will give you your money back. Blessings to Zbiotics.
I sold 8 of these at the bar the other day.
8 of these?
Yeah, 8 Zbiotics.
Oh, 8 of these. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about token or something.
No.
Sorry.
I was just drinking with one of my pickleball buddies, and we're good and sloshed, and I don't know, some girl said something next to me at the bar, and I started chatting with her, and somehow we got into this, and then she went back to her little group, and then they all just bought them.
Wow.
I was
Code
picturing-
alfalfa or what?
Yeah.
I was
Nice.
picturing you had him like inside of like inside of a jacket. You like sold him like one off.
I'm more of a back left pocket. I just keep them slung there.
She said she was going to listen to the pod, too, so hi, if you're listening.
Okay.
Dang.
I feel pressure.
Yeah.
I
People.
already told her it wasn't for her, so.
That's pretty presumptuous.
It's better than telling her she should kill herself.
Okay, so I didn't tell her to kill herself. It was like a hypothetical. It was, well, why don't you?
What? I'm pretty sure that you can go to jail for that if they do.
I think Nick was gone for that
Oh.
episode.
Sorry, yeah. I think I missed it.
Doesn't get the
You
context.
missed this discussion?
I'm kind of glad I did.
Oh my god, that was yeah. That was probably an overshare on my part. Some things best left unsaid.
Okay. All right. We didn't plan any topics for today, so we're gonna free
There are
jazz.
too many topics. You're like, oh, we haven't planned any topics. There's like 17 things on the board.
Sorry, we didn't. I missed the call. It was actually my fault. It was my fault. I'm just
That was a projection.
I'm
man.
projecting my insecurities about not showing up
I
to the
had fun
content.
the last
meeting.
episode because you guys talked about two things I really wanted to talk about. You talked about nicotine
Mm,
and you talked about
SBET.
SBET.
okay. You want to get the nicotine thing out of the way?
Let's hit nicotine real quick.
Yeah, I mean,
How are you enjoying it? Is that a leading question?
He's in.
so I've started to use it because I don't. Did you guys mention? I don't.
We didn't mention it.
You didn't
No,
mention-
we did. We actually
You did,
mentioned
yeah.
that you were doing the gum on the episode in which we
I was
talked
like
about
listening while I was working. So
The gum
going in and out.
suppositories, right?
it.
Yes, you stick it right up your.
But you had been kind of a naysayer for a long time, or a non-participant is a better way of putting it.
Well, I just didn't want to get like wildly addicted to it because my observation casually and looking at all of you and everybody else I know is that you're just like basically coke fiends.
Yeah,
but
I have
for-
one. I have one in
It's like
currently.
lip coke.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Confirmed.
I was like, I don't know if I want that, but no, like a friend sent me a study on it and talking about how it was like being explored as like a cure for like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and stuff, and then like almost on cue, like my social media feed, it started like feeding me clips from podcasts. Like it fed me like a Dave Asprey clip on like that.
What'd you think about how he
Michael
looked?
Bostic
How
podcast.
did his
So Dave Asprey
Dress.
again is bulletproof coffee guy.
Yes.
Yeah, my friend met him this weekend in Austin. He
Oh, really?
shared a picture. He looked like a fucking crackhead.
He's optimized, dude. He's got his what do we call it? The robotic
he's-
affliction shirt.
Yeah, he looks
He's
like
got
he's
his blue
optimized
blockers. He's got his like over rogained hair.
Optimized for repelling women.
Yeah.
So he really sold you.
Imagine just showing up to the bar and there's like red sunglasses.
Oh God.
But is that like for a reason? The
Yeah.
red is to like block out blue light.
Yeah,
for-
especially if you're going to the bar at late night, you want to be able to
Dude,
sleep okay.
People are so insane.
Re-
Okay.
Wearing your blue light blockers to the bar is amazing. Anyway, no, he's on this pod. He's like, they were like, "What's your most controversial medical take?" And he's like, "Honestly, nicotine is fucking awesome for you." Something like that.
Yeah.
And I did a thing on it, and then I got like another podcast thing, and then so this guy's on another pod, and then he's just talking about how he just walks around like all day with a patch on him, and he's talking about like how he like when his like kids are sick, he like takes a patch and like cuts like a little bit off
No.
and slaps it on
No.
his kid's back. And
No
it's
way.
like, yeah, it was-
Okay.
He said that like in a recorded.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. I
Yes.
like where this is going because.
And I was like, all right, I gotta at least listen to this podcast.
Okay,
Some
so
wild shit.
you
I'm like,
guys-
I like exploring wild shit.
I haven't been as active in the Discord ever since my kid was born, but I still get in there from time to time. And I did notice after we did that episode that some people were saying like, "Hey, thanks, Armand. This was like the catalyst I needed to like get off of the Zins."
Good.
Steven like, "Yeah, put it on your kid."
I mean, so I listened to this pod, and he was like talking about how. Okay, so he said some crazy shit on this pod that like I haven't fact checked at all. I like listened and I was like, wow, I need to fact check that because that sounds crazy. But then I moved on with my life and never did it. Like one of the crazy things he said was that like smokers were like one of the least affected groups of COVID, which sounds crazy. Because I was thinking, oh, smokers, fat people, they died a lot, right? But he was like, no, smokers, because he's like, no, nicotine, it just like.
Is that like a
I don't
Joe
know, wavy
Rogan science
magic
or
logic.
like?
I mean, probably, yeah. But then that led into him being like, yeah, whenever my kids are sick, like I just like slap a little. I just cut the. He's like, I'll give him like 1 or 2 milligrams, right?
Well, to Travis DC in the Discord, I hope you enjoyed your 1 week break. You're back.
But then the other crazy thing is like he did a whole rant on like he's like nicotine is like not addictive, and I was like, what? I was
Definitely
like-
not.
I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Totally not.
And he's like, no, it's like, it's all, no, he says it's all the chemicals that you ingest it with, like when you smoke or whatever. Is there stuff in Zyn besides the nicotine?
Some kind of
There's
sodium.
some stuff in there,
Some
right?
kind of sodium, but
It's nicotine salt is the
yeah.
is the
I mean, so I started doing the gum because I want to like work my way up. I want to just slap a 7 milligram patch on my back. And
How many
just throw up
milligrams
all
are in
day.
a piece of gum?
2.
Oh, okay.
And the gum's weird. I think you have to chew it in a specific way, otherwise it just like hits you like very quickly. Like if you don't like kind of lip it a little bit, you just like chew and swallow it. It just kind of hits you. So the first time I did it, I was just like, I just felt bad. Like I just want to puke. I was
Yeah.
just like, this is not enjoyable at all. Like I feel there's no euphoria. There's
Been
no
there.
focus. Like I just chewed a piece of gum and I want to throw up. So I was like, I don't
Okay.
understand what the allure is. But I've been doing it for like 10 days now. I still feel no like
No cognitive benefit.
yeah, there's no cognitive. There's no like high. Like I don't know why everybody's doing it. Like I just chew the gum and I feel like I want to puke.
Still?
A little bit, yeah,
Oh.
Oh,
but
well,
less so.
I mean, I feel like a stimulative effect similar to how a coffee is. Like it's that kind of cognitive benefit.
But I mean, I guess back to the reason I'm doing this. The reason I'm doing this is because the Alzheimer's Parkinson thing was interesting to me because it's like related to the thing I have going on with my hand. A lot of the drugs I was taking for my hand are also like Parkinson's drugs and shit because they like relate to GABA and dopamine pathways in the brain and all this nonsense. And something about this in these studies allegedly was going to sort of like help regulate that or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, I've tried like 50 other things. I may as well just
Oh my
try
God,
nicotine.
hold on.
Everybody else is doing it.
You got to talk to Rizzy. Rizzy's been on like a GABA pathways
Yeah.
thing for a while.
I think actually I had a little conversation with him in the Discord about this as well. So I've been exploring the GABA world. So yeah, I've been like taking it like just like purely medicinally, and I definitely feel like I want to puke a lot. I feel no euphoria at all. Like, what do you feel? Do you feel like
stimulated.
stimulated?
Like a coffee. I think the best way to describe it is like you get a little locked in.
But you're doing more than 2, obviously. Was it 4?
I do
3.
3? Okay, so this
Not a
seems
lot.
like yeah. Like I feel none of that.
But I definitely know what you
But
mean.
I definitely know that something's happening because I'm just like
Well, I know what you
I
mean.
feel like
with
I wanna
the-
poo and
the-
throw up,
Yeah, the
basically.
nausea thing. I mean, coffee makes you want to poo too.
yes.
So does
everything I
every
do now,
stimulant.
Just
but I don't. I mean, I don't feel any. I don't feel any cravings for it. Like,
Well, that's great.
Did you like immediately pop these and you're just like, oh my god, I need more?
no.
No, but
Like, I have no desire to do it. Like, I'm just like,
I have desire now. Like in the morning, as I'm drinking my morning coffee, and it's like, so it depends on how like the kid's doing, but sometimes it's 3 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m. And I'm like starting with coffee. Like a Zin sounds real nice as well.
I don't want to jump to conclusions because I'm doing a lot of stuff. But like the last 2 pickleball sessions I've played were probably the 2 best sessions I've like played like ever.
Were you chewing gum with nicotine in?
On my way there.
I mean, sorry, were you playing pickleball with nicotine in? Sorry, that's what
No, I chewed like enough, like right up to the point when I started playing.
Because I will do that too. Like when I'm going to play tennis, I'll have it in on the way there, and sometimes I forget that it's in. And when I'm like playing, I'm getting like really out of breath early, and I'm like, oh god, get rid of this thing.
Yeah, I feel like that'll do it because it.
Okay.
Well, I just found something mind blowing. Apparently, a cigarette delivers about 1 to 2 milligrams of absorbed nicotine. Seems like a very little amount of nicotine for all that delivery mechanism going on.
Yeah,
I mean,
inefficient.
very inefficient. Like
I think
you,
there's more nicotine in a freaking tomato than that.
apparently a full lipper of.
Did you know tomatoes are like super high in nicotine?
Do you remember the Simpsons episode?
tomatoes?
Tobacco.
Oh, tobacco! That was so good.
Tobacco is the best Simpsons ever.
Oh, that's probably where they got it from.
Yeah.
I had no idea that like tomatoes, eggplant, and like potatoes apparently are all very high in nicotine. That was this guy's logic for like giving his kids a nicotine patch. He's like, "Do you give your kids tomatoes?" Boom, checkmate.
Checks out. You win, sir.
Like a normal chewing tobacco, like a lipful, could be anywhere from 6 to 30 milligrams.
30.
Yeah,
Holy. 30. What's the biggest in?
6.
Yeah, well, they have the Swedish guy that has 100.
What? 100 in one go?
On the fishing boat trip I took, deep sea, the guy brought 100.
No, you're messing with me.
I swear.
Wait, they like make that?
Yeah,
How is that legal?
it's Swedish.
Oh, okay.
No further questions.
Anyway, so I'm gonna try to work up to a patch, and I want to like experiment with just
Your
like,
brother
patch.
was experimenting with the patches.
Why? Just for
Well, I was like,
general
hey, I noticed you haven't
performance?
been using any Zins, and then he just like pulls down his shirt, and there's just like a patch sitting on his.
I'm gonna go full Sam Bankman. I'm gonna have nicotine patch here. I'm gonna have my Adderall patch here, or whatever he had.
Probably the cleanest delivery mechanism.
Yeah, for sure, it's got to be. And it's like a slow release. The gum kind of is just like boom, and then
I could see that.
it's gone. So you
Does the gum taste bad?
it doesn't taste bad. It just tastes like you taste there's something in it, but it tastes like gum,
Mint flavor?
minty, but like there's like something in there.
There's got to be other things you can use gum as a delivery mechanism for. Like if it works for nicotine, couldn't you do it for I don't know. What do people like to colostrum or creatine or I don't know, name your
creatine gum.
name your
creatine doesn't even work in water, so gum was probably gonna
Okay.
be bad.
There's got to be other
It's
things.
like the least dissolvable substance on earth for some reason.
Wait, really?
One of the
Dude,
fastest.
you ever try to mix like creatine and water? You shake it up, and there's just a pile of powder at the bottom of your thing.
I feel like it mixes very
checked.
well.
Oh
But
no, mixes terribly.
I stopped taking
Oddly,
it a while ago.
oddly terrible. You don't take creatine?
no, but
Oh,
I've
that's
been-
a thing I take like every day now.
it's like it's come up in my life from
Yeah,
like
it's like-
10 different angles that I should.
But
be
have
taking
you
creatine.
measured your body weight and muscle mass and water weight before and after?
I just take it for the brain.
Okay, but you do tend to like retain more.
Yeah, you get a
I
little.
hear
You
that,
get a
yeah.
little fluffy.
You do because I've done it at times, and then I went off it, and like after about 2 weeks, you lose weight.
I
And-
feel fluffy right now. Do I look fluffy?
well. There's only one camera on you, and they say the camera only adds 10 pounds. So
This camera looks like it's adding 20 pounds to me from over here.
it's the lighting, dude. Blame the lighting. Blame the production.
My iPhone was on. The second camera.
Your second camera, third camera.
I feel like these chairs are not flattering either. I'm like,
No, they're the worst
just-
posture chair. I don't know
just
why
like
we bought
full
them.
dad, like, I got my beer and everything. I'm like,
Tell me about SBET, Dad. Well,
yeah, I don't think I heard everybody's SBET takes last week. I assume Eric said it was fucking stupid.
well, we're just trying to get our bearings on like what the hell this is, and is it the same, and is it wildly different? And Eric was just saying he just noticed that it's such a small market cap that there's no options, and
Yeah, no options.
but I think you said basically
No.
the volatility is the feature.
Yeah. Well, one thing I mentioned was that when you're looking at a product like this, you're comparing against like buying it yourself, and like why would you pay a premium for something when you can just buy the underlying yourself? And as far as I can tell, the reason why you would do it, not from a fundamental perspective, is because the price appreciates much faster buying this other version, which happened with MSTR, and I supposed that it could happen again with SBET.
We did miss one big component that Steven touched on his newsletter. By the way, epic newsletter write up in your Magic Lines Premium.
Thank you.
Yeah, highly recommend you check it out. Steven's on quite the heater. But we forgot to mention the yield. So obviously we think this company will buy ETH and then they're probably going to do something with it, right? They're probably going to stake it on chain, get anywhere from like, I don't know, 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
I don't know how big of a deal that's going to be, but it's an additional feature.
It's an additional feature. I mean, you'd get that feature if you held the underlying too and you did that step
Treasury.
yourself.
Yeah.
But like,
but TradFi can't get that feature.
right.
Can called treasuries.
Well, no, you can't get the underlying move of Ethereum plus the yield. But I think like the way that I actually think about it is like you pay a premium, and that premium should be rationalized or justified by the fact that the treasury company is going to add more of the underlying to their treasury, such that like you are actually paying a discount over time because they're going to add so much more ETH to their
Right.
balance sheet.
I guess the part that I didn't have time to research, and I guess their press release didn't really like spell out all the details, was when do these new shares actually come out in the open? When do they start trading? Because like I've been trying to figure out what is the current market cap of this thing, because if you know they're going to buy $525 million worth, you like to know what the premium is trading at now, and it seems really confusing because when I go on like Yahoo Finance and just look at the market cap, it's still tiny.
Yeah, I mean, if you value SBET on the basis of all the like, you could probably assume they're going to buy 100,000 ETH with what they've raised. So if you value it on the basis of, oh, they're going to buy 100,000 ETH, this is the price of ETH, and here are all the shares fully diluted. It's basically trading. I mean, it's actually trading a little under that right now, but it's it's basically trading at that.
But like I look at the market cap on Yahoo Finance, and probably this is not the best place to look at it. It says it's worth $41 million, the company. So that's obviously wrong.
That's not right.
I think they're just doing that on the basis, like the actual float of shares is quite low, which is why this is like
So
kind
volatile.
of a funny degen play, because like the actual float relative to how many shares will be outstanding.
So the shares must
is-
be issued on like convertible debt or something, because like they wouldn't be shown on Yahoo Finance or something.
No, there's just some elements of this deal where they have to do some registration process with the SEC. It's
Oh.
months out, and
I
until
get
that
it.
happens, none of these things can be like unlocked.
It was like previously like a shell corporation that had this many shares. So then when you like
Piped it in.
Yeah.
merge it in and stuff,
Yeah, they piped it.
yeah, you got pipe it.
Get up the pipe.
I guess another thing is when these shares for the investors who are putting in the 425 million, are they locked up or not necessarily? Because you could also imagine them seeing the market cap and the price and just like, I'm already up. I got in at $6. I'm
Well,
up 10x. Like,
They're not locked up at all because they could at least short the marketable security.
uh,
So I mean,
they're not going to be able to get their hands on enough shares.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. There's good Ponzi dynamics in this.
I don't think that the float is what Yahoo Finance says it is either.
Probably not. Probably not.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
So you're saying this is a low float, like, but the fully diluted like market cap is much bigger, obviously.
Yeah, and like we've seen how this plays out in other areas. People are like, "No, you can't buy this. You can't buy Serum token. It's $80 billion fully diluted." And then the market was like, "I don't care."
Well, here's like a more nuanced kind of approach to it. Is like, how about like how MSTR succeeded so well? Like, is it path dependent at all? Like, because SBET has seen the path that MSTR took, and maybe they just go right to the end, which is like convertible notes, at the money equity issuance, and maybe that sort of hamstrings them because like MSTR like grew their way into those solutions.
I mean, I don't know that the market will initially give them the ability to do all that. And SBET can do stuff that MSTR can't do, which is like interesting. Like one of the things that's interesting about SBET is that it's going to like inherently like offer like a yield, like some sort of return on assets that MSTR doesn't do, because it's going to have they've already said they're going to like stake this stuff in DeFi. So there's going to be a yield there. So that's the yield is like you've got ETH and then you've got like a NAV premium on top of the ETH, presumably. And then you've also got some sort of DCF that the market has to figure out how to
Agree.
price in.
Have they like announced if they're going to return their like yield to the shareholders? Because that would be like really promising.
You think so?
Well, I think it would be promising in the fact that like TradFi investors can't get the ETH yield outside of SBET.
Well, they'll return it to investors in either two ways: just repurchasing, eat more ETH.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
could potentially
I
buy
presume
back
that's
shares, which they're not going
what
to
they would
do.
probably do. You're just ETH per share just
Yeah.
drifts up, which is great.
Mhm.
I mean, this thing's like better than standard ETFs in two ways. Like one, it has yield, and your ETH per share is growing. I mean, I guess there's three ways. One, it inherently just increases ETH per share because it has yield. Two, it's like actively going to grow ETH per share because it's going to like continue to issue all these like instruments, so just buy
Yeah.
more ETH.
Financial alchemy.
And then three, like an ETH ETF has like a fee, and this doesn't have any fee,
Yeah.
right?
Good
So
point.
there's
Good
kind of like
point.
three interesting ways in which this is like better. And like I feel like we're on the verge of a like pretty nice like ETH renaissance / bull run, and like owning one of these stupid like low float kind of Ponzi dynamic things, especially if the market is like going to be like, oh god, it's going to be like MSTR again. I got to get ahead of this.
I bought some FOMO insurance bag. Just bought a couple hundred shares just to.
Is that back when we talked about it on the previous episode?
No. I think I'm in around $50 a share.
Okay. Because
Average it out.
after you brought it up and we talked about it, it freaking mooned.
Yeah, and I saw it and I was like, well, gonna
Yeah,
let
it
that
went
go.
up it was like a 2x the very next day after
It went over 100. Yeah.
It was crazy.
But you're buying more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an enormous position, but like I have like it's like a healthy, but like basically everything in my portfolio where I owned like Titcoin or something, I was just like, I'll just buy this instead. I'll just buy like a degenerate derivative of the thing that I really believe in.
Are you buying 1 unit of risk or more than 1 unit of risk?
Like how do you like sizing it? What, as though it'll go to 0?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, how are you sizing?
I mean,
it?
it's probably like 2% of my portfolio right now, like my interactive brokers account, which I think is like good. I might I don't know, I might double it.
That's pretty small, I thought.
I mean, I own so much crypto, I own so much convexity, I own so much like leverage. It's just like for me personally, it's like, do I need to put 10% of my brokerage account in this on top of all the other stupid shit?
Yeah.
Probably not. But like if I was sitting around with like not a lot of crazy exposure already, like yeah, like if I was buying ETH, like I don't know, I might put like 30 or 40% of the ETH I was buying like into this.
So here's
like,
something you mentioned on your newsletter is that you were expecting a little bit of volatility to start June.
In general, you're saying?
Yeah, I think that was sort of your rough outline, is that like it could get weird with the CPI print, FOMC meeting within the first 2 weeks of June, and that you might be looking to just like slow play your way into a full allocation to something like SBET.
Yeah, I mean that's partially due to the economic data. We do have CPI June 8th, and I think we got FOMC June 18th.
And the payroll data.
Yeah,
Friday.
so market tends to risk off ahead of these things, but just like one of my general principles of trading is that like I trade a lot around like time cycles. And I think you see even like popular crypto traders like Bob Lucas always like, oh, it's a new weekly cycle for Puke. Traders in general, like they have like cycles, and I think people frame their cycles different ways. But like I always frame cycles around particular timelines I'm trading on, and I think they're important because I do and I've like tested this. So like when you have like new time cycles that open, typically the beginning of those time cycles are periods of sort of like accumulation and fuckery before like the real moves, right? So like when you have a new month happening, like this happened in January. Like when we had that pump at the beginning of January, like I told everybody in the Discord to fade the pump. I was like, do not buy this pump. If you have stuff, sell it. I sold like virtuals at like 420 or something there. Because like when you have these like new important periods, like a new month or a new quarter or a new year, in that case, like January was interesting because it was a new year. Year opens, price straight up, like right off the open. It's generally a bad sign because
is that a flows thing, like reallocations and rebalancing 401k flows, or is that?
I don't consider that
or is it
a
like
lot, but
a new moon cycle or some?
You see this every day. Like this is like a basic principle of like day trading. Like you have like the New York Open, or you have like an economic news event. Very frequently during one of those sort of like high volatility events, price fakes out in the opposite direction and then goes. And I think one of the principled reasons behind this is that in order for price to move, like large players that are much larger than you and I like have to be moving price. Because like we don't do shit, like so. But in order for these people to like move price, they have to fill their bags. They have to have acquired enough. Like if you were like the biggest player in the market, imagine you owned like 90% of Ethereum or something, and you're like, I want to like make money and stuff, right? What would you do? You would like push price down to levels where you could like accumulate a lot of the coins. Probably levels on the chart where everybody's got stop losses because they're drawing little lines and they're like, oh god, like I'm gonna stop out here. You would push price down there, you would fill all the bags, and then you would push price up, and then you'd probably go to another level where people are like, it's a breakout, and then you'd push price above it, you would dump all your bags, and you do the same thing. That's like an extreme example, but it's like kind of how the market works in principle. Like these large players like move price, but in order for them to want to move price, like they have to have bags filled to push price up to distribute, right? So if price is already going up at the beginning of the cycle, do they have the bags yet? I'm like, probably not. So that's like kind of my main framework for how I trade these things. Like if I'm on leverage at the end of the month, I usually cut all the leverage. The first week of the month is usually kind of fuckery. Mondays, like I usually don't trade because it's the first day of the week. Like it's just kind of like an interesting concept. Like the idea that price is not the only thing that matters in trading was like a interesting learning in my life. Like the idea like time is probably just as important as price, which a lot of people don't get because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's definitely the case. So there's a confluence of that plus all the economic data. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to like next week. Like I said, we would probably pump off the start of the month and to fade it. Like we have we have pumped straight off the start of the month, and like I am fading it right now. Like I'm long, like spot and everything. I'm not selling anything, but like there's all this stuff I want to buy like next week or the week after or whenever this summer. Like I definitely want to buy, but like not here.
Sign up for Magic Lines to get access to everything Steve
What's
wants
the
to buy.
alfalfa code or URL? Or is there a code?
Oh God, I don't know if we have a I don't know if we have an alfalfa specific one right now because I haven't been doing sale. I just did like a sale on Twitter.
Nice. Okay.
I need to make an alfalfa specific.
Are you going to
one
open
again.
that with your bare hands?
No, I'm just kind of cutting the foil. But yeah, it's Magic Lines that XYZ. If anybody wants that, where's our bottle opener?
Doesn't look
Oh,
like
I
it.
found it.
Can we talk about something related to SBET also in your newsletter? But
Oh, Vivo Power.
no,
okay.
I was thinking about potential beneficiaries of SBET's Treasury. So they're going to do stuff in DeFi. They're probably going to put it in like relatively safer protocols like Aave for lending, put in Lido for yield. They'll probably put in some like Maker. And I feel like maybe this and maybe Circle's IPO might just shine some visibility and light on some of these protocols. And it seemed like you like some of those for the longer term. Is that why you like them? Because you'll see SBET start to play with it in their treasury and maybe Circle's yield starts to bring up yield opportunities in DeFi?
I mean, that's definitely it definitely helps, but like I don't think that's like the larger theme. Like there's two things at play here. Like we talked about like the time cycles thing. If you look at a lot of stuff in the world, it moves in like cycles of 4. It's very interesting. Like if you look at
You're sounding very horoscopy
Astrology.
this today. You've
I
been
think it's
diving
just, I
deep.
think it's just mathematics. Like I think a lot of it is just mathematics, and a lot of it like works out very well. Like your day trading session is perfectly divided into like 4 quarters. There's 4 quarters of the year, and like maybe not coincidentally, like 4 years ago was basically the top of DeFi. A little over 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So DeFi has basically been in a 4-year bear market, right? Everything went through crazy valuations and then like just went to zero. But it's been quietly like gaining off the bottom, right? Like even something like Maker, for years now, it's been doing well against ETH, whereas like there's the old just like Degen Spartan on crypto Twitter back in the day just used to just
Dunk.
bitch slap and
Yeah.
dunk like Maker all the time because like Maker ETH, like shorting Maker ETH was like the freest money
Yeah.
on planet Earth. Just went down only, and Curve went down only.
Yeah.
And like all these things went down only, but like all of these protocols now, maybe not Uniswap yet, but like maybe close to it. But like Curve, Maker,
Is Maker
Aave.
still decentralized stablecoin? That's their product.
Mhm.
They don't do any other lending or. Well, I guess.
Well, I mean, they have products like their leverage products are very popular, right? You can open a vault and like you can use their stable coin to as you can use collateral and
They're the
and leverage.
decentralized version of Circle.
So can we talk about Circle? Because Circle is set to IPO tomorrow
Yeah.
at a
Was it 6 billion?
$6.8 billion valuation. Circle is the company that issues USDC, the stablecoin.
Yeah, which gets distributed through Coinbase.
Yep.
Coinbase is a shareholder of Circle.
I think at first blush, and I've been like kind of removed from the markets for a while. This almost makes me want to come back tomorrow because I think Circle is sort of the way to play stablecoin proliferation, not Curve or Maker. Like Circle's gonna fucking do very well from
I
here.
mean,
think.
USDC is the kind of default American stablecoin as of now. I believe the Trump family is launching USD1, which is the Trump family's stablecoin. Makes me feel good about the stablecoin legislation passing. Hey.
I mean,
Drop your little hands in there.
for what it's worth, I think like every single person I consider smart and like every single little alpha group I'm in is all like quite bullish on Circle at 6 billion. I kind of feel like I should participate in it as well. And it does make you think if like once in a while you have these sort of like generational IPOs, you know, that like just kick off something like much bigger than just that one company.
Is it bigger than just shouldn't it trade according to whatever the Fed funds rate is? Like whatever the short-term rate is, because that's how they make their money, right?
I think that's kind of like the mid take on it at this point. Yeah, for sure. Not as in an insulting way.
No,
like,
but I
that's
imagine
just like,
eventually at some point in its lifetime they'll be just like, oh, it's a interest rate play.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you have any sort of like imagination, I think you can kind of like conceive of like how the business could be so much more than just like a freaking like basically interest rate arbitrage, which is basically just what banks do, right? They just like get you to deposit in your checking account and they arb you.
Lend it out 10x.
But I think this could be so much bigger than what banks do, just because there's just so much more interesting stuff you can do in crypto. Like I have to think that like if you think Circle has the ability to basically take the dollar and tokenize it and distribute it, what else? Like could Circle just start doing like stocks? Like could they be like the company that tokenizes all the stocks or something crazy like that? Like you start thinking through that, and then you can kind of get to some wild places in your head.
Yeah, I don't know if Jeremy, the CEO, has ever talked about like the future products, but
Jeremy Allaire.
yeah, but I imagine once
they don't really do that much.
Earnings call comes up,
not a lot of vision.
When he's got his like earnings calls, he's gonna learn from Elon.
I wonder
what is my purpose.
I wonder if like Marty McFly has any interesting takes on this, because like Jeremy Allaire seemingly came out of nowhere, and like these stable coins are going to be like massive in our lives going forward, and it just seems like ripe for speculation.
Well, I gotta imagine at some point they should be the largest single holder of treasuries. I think Warren Buffett holds like 5% of all shorter term treasuries.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's wild.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Tether's way up there, obviously.
Yeah. But Tether, I don't think Tether is going to get anointed, but it'll still be allowed because they just can't stop it.
Oh yeah, not only do they not stop it, they want it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like the
come in, but you got to buy treasuries.
I'm surprised they're not like, all right, Tether, you're cool, but you got to buy 30 years.
So Tether size is like
They're gonna be
significantly
Bank of
larger
America.
than USDC, right? It's like an order of magnitude larger.
Way larger.
Is it an order of magnitude?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, if you,
I mean, you're probably right. I didn't think it was that much bigger.
But
I know it's significantly bigger. I didn't think it was like 10x bigger.
I heard that Tether's like the most profitable crypto organization.
It's the most
It's
profitable
juicy.
business like in the history of humanity. Like you got probably like 3 employees and they make like $12 billion a year or something.
5x, not a whole order of
5x,
magnitude.
okay.
5x
That
bigger.
makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I probably should trade that tomorrow. That'll be interesting.
I'm a little burned off of it because I traded the, or I didn't trade. I just bought
the Coinbase
Yeah,
IPO?
but that was a direct listing.
Fortunately,
I didn't
did not
understand
partake in
the.
that.
Oh, you're finally above water.
Oh, I got rid of that shit a long time ago.
Is he?
It came out at 250.
No, but yeah, like, but if you
Crushing.
bought it like a normal person, like 30 minutes later, I don't know.
450.
Yeah. and then I was like Googling direct listing. I'm like, oh, it's all the existing shareholders dumping on you. Oh, I should have looked this up.
I should have Googled this.
Yeah, I should have Googled it before I bought it.
Yeah, good times.
Mhm.
Has there been another like major crypto IPO?
No,
Not major, I don't think.
this will be a big one.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge. Like, God, exciting things are happening right now. I haven't been this excited in a long time. because
Are you talking about actual exciting things, or are you just talking about price being exciting?
like everything is exciting. Price is exciting. The things on the horizon are exciting. The things happening right now are exciting. These catalysts, and it's juxtaposed with like sentiment that is like unreasonably dog shit.
I agree with the sentiment. And I think there's like interesting developments in terms of like adoption, particularly of like Bitcoin as like a something that's accepted in our global mindshare. But I'm asking specifically if there's anything that's exciting in like the crypto use case.
I mean,
realm.
just stablecoin legislation, just kind of solidifying it.
That would be amazing. Stablecoin as like a payment vehicle would be incredible.
Yeah. I mean, you're about to go through like a regulatory / innovation boom. Like people have forever been like, oh, what if crypto doesn't do anything interesting? It's because you haven't allowed anybody to build anything fucking interesting. I thought there was an interesting discussion on the 1000X pod last week because they were talking about, you guys familiar with Hyperliquid?
Yeah, familiar.
So one of the most interesting things that I think is an inevitability, and I've actually thought this for some time, is the greatest thing that crypto has like sort of popularized isn't the stablecoin, it is the perpetual future. Correct. The perpetual future is an unbelievable financial instrument, not just because it enables like this wild degeneracy, which is also awesome, but it is just such a fucking improvement over so many things in the TradFi space. Like, I get why you want like monthly settlements on, like if you're gonna take corn or something, and like somebody's literally giving you trucks of corn. Sure, like yeah, it makes sense. I need corn end of October, but like the fact that we do like monthly settlements on like S&P futures that are makes no sense. Like that shit should be perpetual. You should just always be able to bet on the price of the S&P in some sort of leveraged derivative fashion, 24/7. Just go.
It is really great. It's user friendly. You pick how many times you want to leverage. It shows you your liquidation price, and you click buy, and you're good.
It's great. I agree. I remember
Like,
like,
you have to roll contracts and stuff.
when you first brought me into crypto in 2020 or whatever that was, when we were in COVID and that cigar bar, you showed me the perps, and I was like, "Does this exist like outside of crypto?" And you told me like, "No, it doesn't."
No.
It is amazing. I think like one thing that I'm thinking though is what we're seeing with like hood versus coin is that it's like it's easier for the instantiated TradFi guys to implement perps than it is for like TradFi investors to go on chain and invest in perps.
See, I kind of disagree with that. I think there's a truth in what you're saying. Okay, so the truth in what you're saying, and one of the main reasons I dumped coin was that it is way fucking easier for people rooted in TradFi, all these brokerage houses, to simply add crypto than for Coinbase to add all of the TradFi stuff.
Yep.
And I saw this as a huge problem.
Because the licensing and stuff, or
I don't like even me, like the idea, like I don't really use Coinbase anymore because like I just use interactive brokers because they still trade like all the major coins I trade.
it's cheaper.
And then they have proxies for them like IBIT, and then they have options and all this stuff Coinbase doesn't have. Am I going to just start moving all my business to Coinbase just because I can trade stocks there? No. I don't even think Coinbase is like one of the main reasons that like I don't even think the company's that well run where they're going to like steal my money and shit, right? So like when I went through that thought exercise, I was like, no way. But the perp thing specifically, I think is interesting. Like the derivatives thing specifically is interesting. Like I actually am partial to the idea that like crypto native companies will be able to execute the perp far better. And the example of this that I think Jonah brought up on the pod was like, he said, well, what about Hyperliquid? Like how easy is it for Hyperliquid to just add oil futures, oil perps, gold perps, S&P perps, NASDAQ perps? And I was just like,
hook up a few oracles
seamless,
and you're
absolutely
ready to go.
seamless. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so bullish, Hyperliquid. Like you make perps legal in the US, and then like Hyperliquid has like freaking like NASDAQ
But
perps.
that's all the same for Interactive Brokers, Charles Schwab, because this is all just code, right? So like they can add it equally as easily.
I don't know that it's quite that simple. there's a great deal of risk involved in running perps, like these liquidation engines and how they function. There's a lot of moving parts there. I don't think like Interactive Brokers is just going to jump headfirst into this. And I think the audience of people who there's like an audience mismatch too. Like when I'm talking about using Coinbase versus like Interactive Brokers, I'm already trading stocks, and everybody using Coinbase trading coins is already trading stocks. But everybody on Interactive Brokers isn't trading perps.
Yeah, nobody's
But
seen a perp
literally
yet.
everybody on Hyperliquid is already trading perps.
But doesn't this sound like the natural progression of what investors would want? I mean, you see the popularity of zero-day options. You don't think like if they new feature, perpetual futures, it would just, I think it'd catch fire. Like especially if Robinhood was able to.
It will
do
catch fire, but I do not think that Interactive Brokers is going to just like take Hyperliquid's lunch. But I do think Robinhood will take Coinbase's lunch in terms of like like Coinbase can take Hood can take Coinbase's like lunch because they can just offer crypto and then Coinbase is fucked. Interactive Brokers is not just gonna like offer perps and then take all of Hyperliquid's business. Like there's a difference there.
Seems like a ripe acquisition. I don't know how the Hyperliquid team is structured or the actual entity, but seems ripe for someone to acquire them.
Also, like I don't know what the appetite is for TradFi investors to get into perps, because like it's a whole new.
They know options. They're like, is this much better?
Right.
I got futures. How much better?
Like,
is this?
I personally don't like perp. I don't use them. I prefer the vehicles that I'm used to.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hard. I mean, they're easy to use and they're hard to use. Like they're very dangerous in a particular way. They're also like incredibly useful. Like if you understand how to use perps, like to be able to have this like incredible hedging mechanism like at your fingertips at all times that like saves a lot of money in the form of like I don't have to roll this or whatever is there's like a lot of efficiency there. But also it can like shred you quite badly. But like I mean people get blasted trading NASDAQ futures and stuff too, like S&P futures. Like you trade like some of these like ES contracts, you don't know what you're doing. You buy 10 contracts, the thing moves like 8 ticks and your whole account is gone because you're like you bought a $15 million position size. You don't understand what's going on there. In some ways, like trading ES futures is actually way more complicated than trading perps. Like I find perps easier to trade. Like there's still to this day I'm trading like these futures contracts and I'm just like, wait, what is this position size? It's 10 contracts. Their contracts like 500K or whatever.
Perps are so user friendly. I've seen people who don't invest in stocks, anything. Show them the interface and they're like,
but that's also why people get destroyed using them because like they're approachable in a way.
But I think like what we're talking to is like the super active trader. Like I don't think perps are for investors, which is like the primary demographic.
They're not for investors, but they are for institutional players. They're for the types of players who are like hedging oil and stuff for sure. Like it's like a better, or the types of players who are using like NASDAQ futures. Absolutely. Like I cannot conceive of an argument why the current like CBO futures are better than perps for like NASDAQ or anything that's like cash settled. So that's going to be like a super interesting boom when like perps are just legal in the US. That's going to be like the end of prohibition, but like the end of financial prohibition. Like we're gonna have the flapper girls.
I mean, maybe that's a use case for Coinbase to come back, because I actually think they're sort of like positioning themselves to be a derivative.
they have the international perp.
International perps. They got Deribit for options. I think they're like positioning themselves for this.
Yeah. Well, let's move on a little bit. Was there anything else in the newsletter you want to talk about? I did want to give you a little feedback on it, but yeah, is there anything in particular you wanted to call out?
I'm just sort of generally interested in like the Treasury company narrative.
The Treasury company narrative?
SBET.
SBET, MSTR. Like we got what's the one in Japan?
I thought it was a Saudi one.
No, that's the XRP one is a Saudi one,
okay,
which is amazing. But there's a MSTR clone in Japan that's super popular. It'll come to me randomly later in the episode. But this is like a playbook everybody's running now. It's super interesting, and you know they're like the Sailor thing is like fascinating. I was fascinated by it the second I heard about it. I was very into it. But I didn't buy a lot of MSTR because I looked at the NAV at the time when it was, I don't know, December or something. And it was like 3.5x or something insane. So I never got super overloaded on MSTR, bought like a little bit of it. But like the idea that like he was sort of taking this asset class that like people didn't want to touch because of sort of like volatility reasons, and that he could basically like harvest that volatility and like sell everybody the exact product that they wanted to sort of match their preference, and then just shave whatever off the top and take it and reinvest it back into his own thing, thus creating more volatility and giving more like it was a very fascinating thing to me. And like I see this as one of those things that will take us like very, very high and then like probably very, very low, because I don't see how this ends badly.
Yeah. Oof. What could possibly go wrong?
Like I'm like, I think it is my base case right now that Bitcoin goes to like 300K and then like back to like 50K or something, right?
Oh,
like I
God.
think that's probably
Yikes.
destiny,
So
because
it's a higher low.
But yeah, I mean, it's happened every time.
Yeah, so you shouldn't be surprised.
yeah, and it's like scares me when people are like, no, it can't happen this time. It's just like, no, that's exactly when it starts being able to happen, when you think it won't happen. So I think this cycle goes higher than most people think. I think it's for sure going. I hate saying for sure, but I think very high probability over 200, 250. I think like 3 something, 400 is like in the cards. But
God,
like
MSTR at that point, at that price point,
Oh,
is
boy.
going
it's
to
gonna be nuts. But like
nuts.
if he keeps like the problem is like he keeps like bringing his average price up.
Mhm.
So like I worry.
He raises another $8 billion and moves his average tick up to 150.
Yeah, like dude, if we're at 400, 450K, and then his basis is like 150,
But it's my
we're
understanding.
going way under that.
But
For
it's
sure.
my understanding he can be way underwater and be fine, like for a long
I
period
think
of
he
time.
can be fine and survive. I think that there would still be some selling, and I think every other player in the space would be getting annihilated.
Well, he'd be fine in the sense that he's paying 0 coupon.
Right.
I mean, there's no
Yeah,
like,
the bonds will
liability.
trade, below par or whatever. And, if it's way underwater, they'll probably just like refinance and extend.
Mm-hmm.
There is a price where they would have to sell stuff. It is still pretty low, and
Yeah.
I think there are still options. But like, I don't know. Like, you've been through as many cycles as I
Yeah.
have basically at this point, and
We'll be like, oh, that's why it fucking just all the cards fell down because of this one little clause in the fucking bond agreement that
Yeah.
we never read.
but it's also one of the reasons I want to get so long right now is because I'm like, oh, I want to be like very early to I love being early to Ponzi schemes.
Yeah.
Ponzi
Well,
schemes are the best things to buy.
they're
if
the
you're
most
early.
lucrative. They're the
They're
most lucrative
so
investments.
profitable. They're so profitable. But like knowing where you are in there's obviously like an art to that, and it's not very easy. But like
Yeah,
if
you
you
can't
spot the
be-
Ponzi early, you jump in.
You can't be late to the Ponzi.
Well,
No.
your bullishness in the newsletter was got me excited because you laid out like, I don't know, 10 opportunities, and it was like, oh, there's actually all of these opportunities right now. And as I was reading, I was like, and you didn't even get into the robotics part yet, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But then also the other part of the newsletter that I liked this time was like you gave a version for people like me who's like, I just want to hold spot, I want to hold it for a longer period of time, and I just want to know like roughly what should I hold. Is it a good time to add or not? And you kind of gave like, hey, this is my like medium term or longer term spot bag, and that was nice coming from
Yeah, I'm trying to
from a
evolve
user
a little
feedback.
bit and calm down because people are obviously not like me, and a lot of like what I'm talking about now is kind of more from the perspective of like my brokerage account, because like I try not to be so insane that like I still take some trades in there obviously, but like yeah, the robotics that I mean I'm planning on putting together like sort of like a dissertation, like a sort of summary of the Citrani post, but like in TA form / here's something usable, because his thing is it's like ridiculous, right? It's like here's 600 companies that I'm buying across like 17 different exchanges, and
yeah.
Yeah.
it's just like
It's hard to follow.
But like what in there actually looks interesting, I mean, I talked about was it Rich Tech Robotics
Mhm.
in the newsletter? That was like an interesting one.
The
Why do
use
you
case
why do you
is
like
lame.
that? Why do you like them more than like? Why'd you single them out? Is it because of the chart? Is the candles?
So I've been in that one for a while because like the chart is good. I think somebody, I think it was it CP Ledger in our Discord? I think he like mentioned it to me, and I looked at the chart, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna send," and it's robotics. Boom. So like I kind of got allocated into it. I think it's definitely not going to be like the best play ever, but it's also like kind of hard to get direct access to robotics, right? Because a lot of the Citrini, almost all of the Citrini stuff, like 99% of it, I would say,
Supply chain.
is supply chain, right? So it's very hard to be like invest in company like, and Rich Tech is like interesting because they're like literally making robots that do robot stuff. Like they're like I saw that like McDonald's is like dry running some of their stuff for like for server bots.
Such a
and
lame
stuff,
use case, though. It's like it moves the food 12 feet to the
there.
left. And it's like, how much time did the employees spend setting it up on the robot, typing in the thing,
Oh my god!
and
you
hitting
sound,
go?
You sound like every
No,
curmudgeon who
I get
like,
it. I get how
experiences new tech.
it's awesome. It's just I watched the video and it was just
maybe,
so underwhelmed.
Maybe this would be a good transition to another thing, but like we had like the freaking ice raid down the street from us that became like national news, right? All like the labor cost of like running a restaurant is going through the fucking
Wait, so
roof.
what happened in this raid? Because I didn't actually see. It
So
was,
you know Bona Forchetta?
yeah, it's great pizza.
Great pizza. No, I was playing pickleball. I feel like every story it starts with like so I was playing pickleball
Because it does. It's fine.
but like one of the guys I play with, I think his family owns it or something, and he got like a phone call and just they got off the phone. He's like, "Oh shit! Like ICE just like raided the whole thing," and then like went on the news, and I was like, "Oh damn!" And then it like kept escalating. Saw people protesting, and like the all-in
you
pod.
gotta say
was
it's not
talking about
like
it.
when someone says, "Oh, ICE raided someplace," it means like a few people in flap jackets showed a piece of paper, and then arrested some people. This was like a full-on like it looked like a military
Yeah.
special forces unit.
It looked gnarly.
They had the full like imagine they were going to war in like Afghanistan. That's how they threw off a flashbang.
Okay, so they threw up a flashbang.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just piecing together context here. I'm guessing that a lot of those employees in the kitchen were illegal immigrants.
Yeah, they had falsified their green cards.
Okay.
And there was a tip from like 2020 that I guess this new administration was like, let's go back through all the old tips.
Oh wow.
And they went back through it. They investigated it. They like did a stakeout for like 2 days. They got a warrant from the judge. And basically there was reports that this guy or the restaurant owners were intentionally hiring illegal immigrants
To save cost.
to say, well, I guess, but in particular, he was running them at like 12, 13-hour shifts and not doing the typical employee protocols or whatever.
Hmm.
Who do you think called in? It was probably another pizza shop.
Yeah. Domino's.
Mr. Motos for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're saying, okay, you add up just employee costs going up, the headache with employees, the fact that they're humans, and then, potentially if you have low cost labor, you might be getting
It's gonna
rated
be
by
like
us.
effectively like $40 an hour to have anybody in your restaurant pretty soon. It's gonna make all this stuff just comparatively like I'm not the first person to say this, obviously, but like we've been talking about this for our whole lives basically. Like I remember watching the show on like this Discovery Channel back in the day. Remember when like the History Channel talked about history? And the Discovery Channel talked about
Sharks.
and TLC was the learning channel, and the whole channel was about learning, not like
True crime.
or like women just like bitch slapping each other or
Yeah.
something, right? Back in those days, I used to watch a show called like Beyond 2000 back in the 90s, and they had like someday your car is gonna be driven with a joystick.
Do you remember
and all this,
Conan
like-
O'Brien? They would do the skit in the year 2000. So good.
It's very funny to look back on like the 90s perception of like 2020s versus like reality.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's like so far exceeded anything you could ever imagine. But in also most ways, you'd just be like incredibly disappointed.
Yeah. No hoverboards. No Nikes that lace themselves.
But you got 140 characters. That's like Peter Thiel's take. No flying jetpacks, but I got 140 characters.
But I mean, they were talking about like robot servers back then, right? It's always been a thing. It's always been a thing. AI has always been a thing. But like we're living through the time now. We're like, it's happening. Like it's actually happening. And I think people are very jaded right now. Like one of the most popular memes with the Zoomers is the nothing. You've seen the nothing ever happens meme.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, no. You've never seen nothing ever happens. Oh,
I've been fucking busy, man.
look at the.
I haven't seen anything.
That's such a great meme. The guy's like, "Would you look at the time?" It's just like every clock is like nothing, nothing ever happens. And people have been kind of jaded into that. But like, I think stuff is like definitely happening. Like you're in a time of things happening. Like you're at the curve is actually starting to inflect up, and a lot of stuff's about to happen. Like,
Well, I mean,
very
Armand
quickly.
mentioned it. He texted us that he took a Waymo for the first time, and he's just already noticing like the cultural tension from it. He
In SF.
in SF, he said he felt like he was going to get shot when he was rolling around in the Waymo.
Just
People were
gets in
mean
and
mugging him,
throwing tomatoes at
and
him.
then he sent us a picture of like it looked like one of those things you rip off on light posts to get to guitar
Little
lessons.
ads, yeah.
It was like stop AI, and then like take a ticket to go to the protest. But
So-
yeah, we're watching the like cultural tension from.
Have you guys
the
ever taken a
change.
Waymo? Do you need to download a Waymo app, or is this like done through?
They're driving
Uber?
around San Diego, I think, kind of mapping and learning right now. I've
it's
seen a few
coming.
cars.
So it's its own. It's like a Google owned company. So you have to
Yes.
download Waymo.
I assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never done one. Oh, but I've done like the precursor to it in Vegas when they were like piloting it.
Was there a human in there?
There was like a human that would take over if need be.
Okay.
But he
There's no
never did.
humans
Yeah.
now in these versions, and they're scaling.
There's a human like in India watching, and if something happens, he probably just picks up.
What do you
GameCube
think's
controller or
better
something.
right now, Waymo or whatever the latest update of Tesla full self driving is?
Well, as a robotaxi or just like the self-driving capability?
Self driving capability.
No, it's got to be Tesla by like a mile.
Dude,
Is it by a mile?
riding in Steven's Tesla, because I have a Tesla and I don't have full self driving, just because like I never bought it.
Yeah, it's definitely better by a mile because like Teslas can drive anywhere basically, right? Like whereas Waymo is like they're like just map the fuck out of like one
Yeah.
city. Like and if you think about the data that Tesla has versus like Waymo, it's got to be like a just two
I'm
orders
still
of
like,
magnitude,
I think
if
it's
not
good
more.
for like people who own the car, use the self-driving because they're there to take over. But as like a robotaxi, I don't see how it scales as much as Waymo when if it's snowing, it's raining, it's fog, there's glares from the sun on the camera.
So
like
you're describing
the cameras will get
between
blocked.
camera versus LiDAR. Okay.
And it took forever to LiDAR to catch up, and arguably it's still hasn't caught up to like the skills. But
But you think that LiDAR has higher potential, which I probably agree with.
yeah, because like what happens if it starts raining and
I
the
mean-
cameras get, they can't see, and
These
it's like
cars will need to have both eventually, right? Like you're
And
gonna.
Elon doesn't seem to think so. For reasons I don't understand.
I don't know. Once you hear of like, oh, it got foggy quickly and the Tesla just stopped driving and
Wait,
left me in the middle of fucking
did
nowhere.
you see that like Mark Rober video? Did
No,
we talk
wasn't
about this?
that was a fake one, right?
No, it's not fake. No, it's real.
We didn't talk about it. I think we talked about it off air.
Yeah, I mean, he basically set up like a Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner style thing where he painted like a hyper realistic looking road, but it was a wall, and he just drove the Tesla like on autopilot, and it just went.
But I heard it
straight
was
through
debunked because it like they saw.
No.
Okay.
No, I actually looked into this a lot, and dude, the internet's very hard these days. So when that came out, obviously you have like a lot of like Elon fanboys, and they all came out, and they're like, all the internet sleuths, they're like freeze framing the video, they're like, ha, he deactivated it there. They've like throw all this stuff out, and it sounds reasonable, but you like dig through it, and it's just like,
It failed.
nah, it's just like the cameras. It looked so much like a road that the car just drove straight through it
Yeah.
because it just looked like a road. And it was a little sketch because he was like the LiDAR guy was like a part of the video.
Yeah.
So it was like it was a little.
I don't know. I'm still. I mean, I could have my mind change very easily if someone could show me how this would work better. But in terms of reliability and getting you someplace, I feel like
I mean, look, my argument to this would be like, do you have LiDAR?
yes,
No.
no.
No. You have eyes. You have
Yes.
eyes. What do your eyes do? They just see stuff.
Whatever's funnier. I don't know.
I was like, what are your
Like,
yes?
like would I ever be able to argue that like, well, Nick, you can't drive a car because you don't have like sonar or whatever? You can't like.
So what are the drawbacks of LiDARs? It's expensive? Is that the only reason why
I
it's
think
not?
it's less accurate.
Oh, like in its current instantiation.
Yeah, and I think it can't do a lot of the things that you can do with like the visuals of cameras.
I mean, that being said, the LiDAR, I saw a clip of Waymo. There was like a massive puddle on a street and it couldn't detect the puddle. So it just yeeted it in a fucking huge puddle and the car got stuck. And the passenger's like, fuck. Like he's probably talking to the operator. Operator can't move the car's stuck. So he had to literally just get out in a huge, like over knee-high water and get out of the car.
Yeah, I saw a video yesterday where there's like a Waymo at an intersection and there's like a fire engine behind it, and the Waymo is just like forward and backwards and forward and backwards, and it's just like it looks like it's just like panicking. It's like, what do I do?
If I'm driving that fire truck, I feel like this is gonna be I'm just gonna
plow
move the Waymo out of the way.
Just gently,
Yeah, gently move
gently nudge the Waymo.
All right, well, let's see what else we got in here.
Should have another ad read. I have to pee.
Go ahead, P. We're just gonna talk about one of your favorite topics, the all drug Olympics.
Oh, damn it.
I have to pee too. No,
Let's go in shifts. Eric needs this.
no, you go.
No, it's sports. I'll be right back.
Grab a Zin for me on the way back.
Wait, where are the Zins?
I don't know.
I thought you were being serious.
They're probably littered around the office.
Yeah, like every desk in here.
Eric, have you seen there's a 1980s SNL skit called the All Drug Olympics. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen that skit. It would be fun to pull it up, but then we'd get demonetized and then we'd get banned off Spotify.
Yeah. So it's one of those weekend update clips from SNL. And they're like, we're going to our correspondent at the All Drug Olympics in Bogota, which is debuting for the first time, in which the Olympians can take whatever they want. And so they cue to the correspondent. He's like, he's on anabolic steroids. He's on a cat tranquilizer. And I think he just took a few shots, a few cocktails beforehand. And they go to like the power lifter and he's about to clean and jerk like 1,500 pounds. And in the clip, the guy's arms, like he goes to lift it and his arms just get stuck to the thing and he rips his arms off.
His arms snap off of the shoulder.
It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I've seen that.
It's hilarious. And there's blood everywhere. It's like, he doesn't feel it now, but that's going to hurt in the morning. But anyway, this exists now.
We have an all drug Olympics.
Yeah, it's called the Enhanced Games.
the Enhanced Games.
So
Where are the Enhanced Games?
I don't know
being,
where
played?
they are, but it's going to be May 2026. And it's kind of like a pay-per-view through the website right now.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so they can take, it seems like whatever they want. And their argument is that we're going to provide a safe environment in which these athletes can take all the performance-enhancing drugs they want. And what's cool about it, or I guess different about it, is that they give you bonuses for breaking records. So I think if you break a world record, you get $1 million.
Okay, so the image on the headline that you guys shared was a swimmer.
Oh God.
He is enormous.
Yeah, I mean it literally looks like Bruce Banner versus the Incredible Hulk. Like this guy's neck, jaws, looks like his bone structure, all of his muscles have probably like tripled in size.
Yeah.
He's like bulging out of his, threads.
God, I wish we could show this image because it's so good. But either way, you described it well. This enhanced athlete is freaking enormous. My first question is that guy going to be able to swim?
Yeah, he doesn't look like his arms could do even the motion.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess the question is like, we'll talk about enhanced games if it's a good business or it'll thrive or whatever in a second. But is this a good idea? Like, should we let athletes just
Be
let
enhanced?
it rip if they want? Obviously, they're doing it on their own.
So what are the downsides? So like at first blush, like competitive athletics and spectator sports exist for entertainment to the spectator. That's the business of it. So, I mean, as a spectator, the game gets better probably.
I mean, do you remember Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds just letting
Fondly.
it fucking rip?
Yeah.
Don't forget Jose Canseco, baby.
Yeah.
Ken Caminiti.
Yeah, fondly remember those days.
Oh, those were great. Those were great.
So those were the enhanced games of baseball in the late 90s.
It was
And
epic.
how entertaining was that?
It was
Yeah.
max entertainment.
Dude, like I remember back in this era, like the local news would be like following a normal story in like San Diego, and then be like, and we're cutting to St. Louis where Mark McGuire is taking another at bat.
It looks like he's holding a toothpick. Oh no, it's just because he's so large that the bat looks like a
Dude, the bat looked so small. He looked like he was literally holding a wiffle ball bat.
yeah.
Dude, it was like epic. Okay, so the downside then is not for the spectator, it's for the athlete themselves. And you're worried, like, I guess you'd be worried about the athlete's long-term health.
Massive tumor growth.
Like the
yeah.
entirety of the NFL.
Yeah, right. But that was my follow-up, is that like the entirety of the NFL is dealing with like CTE, players killing themselves by 55. Like, I think the average lifespan is like 55
That's from
years
the
old.
concussions, right? Because like you don't see that in rugby.
Sure, but I guess what I'm saying is that the league doesn't seem to care equally. So
Yeah.
like, why not allow them to be enhanced?
Yeah, it's like, what is your principle? Because I think a lot of people would be like, oh, well, we don't want to allow this because people will hurt themselves. But then, like, as you say, we already have entire sports where like the death rate is like probably way worse than just the average death rate of anybody who takes steroids.
Okay, what about okay, imagine the maniacs that want to fight for a living, okay? Now put them on roid rage.
Oh God.
And what do you think about like a UFC version where it's like just let it rip as much as you
As a
want
spectator,
as a spectator?
better.
There will be fatalities.
No, you still have referees.
Yeah, you think the roid rage guy is going to let the referee get off of him? like
He just kills the referee too.
he's like, fuck this guy.
I want to see all steroid figure skating. I want to see some girl do like 7 twirls.
7
just
axles.
Like septuple axles.
I think there's something to gain in humanity, right? Like you're going to have this cohort that's going to take these things, and some of them are going to have ill side effects, you know, some shorter term, some longer term, but you might actually find through their experimentation something worthwhile.
Yeah, maybe there's a way to combat the negative side effects as well as like through the experimentation.
Where it's going to get really wild is if you let them do full-on genetic modifying, right? Like I think we talked in very years past about how there will be a certain sect of the human population of Homo sapiens who decides to alter the DNA to have glow-in-the-dark hair and certain color eyes, and at some point you're probably going to have to call it like a break off of the current species because they're going to evolve in a different path. And it would be wild if this thing grows and they're like, okay, you can now swap out the G for an A in your
Dude,
genome.
imagine if like the center for the Los Angeles Lakers was a brontosaurus.
Yo, that'd be sick.
Wait, what's the Michael Jordan movie? The
Space Jam?
Space Jam. Maybe they're playing against the aliens who have like
Right.
superhuman powers.
Right.
Space Jam was actually just a prophecy.
Um,
No, did you see the thing that I think it was Ledger who posted it about the embryo selection thing?
oh, you can.
Where you can basically just select your baby on the basis of like how long it's gonna live and all sorts of crazy stuff now.
So I think like we're people of a certain age, we're men of a certain age, and like a lot of our peer group are going through like fertility stuff like IVF, and I've only just like scratched the surface of understanding what's going on here, but like I know you can already see the health of the embryos and which gender they're going to be. They give like a letter grade to, you know, the viability of each of these things.
Yeah.
So that's like commonplace.
But like, what is the difference between you being like, I want to become super sick at tennis and just taking like every drug on the planet to get good at tennis, and then somebody being like, I've genetically selected my baby from 6,000 embryos to ensure that it has all the physical characteristics of Rafael Nadal. Like, what is the difference?
It's the same picture.
Is it the same thing?
sounds like natural selection to me.
Yeah, unnatural selection.
Maybe. Yeah, but, I guess unnatural. Unnatural.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
Yeah, I did too.
It's selection.
I thought you were teeing me up for a pun. I took the opportunity. But like, yeah, like we're it's like,
And like, I guess if that technology, if that's what you'd call it, exists, like you'd probably take it. Like if you had the means, like you'd probably like take advantage of using it.
Of course you would. Do you want the highest probability of having a healthy child versus not? Of course you're going to be like, yeah, give me the one that's going to survive.
that's how it starts, and it's just like healthy, but then it's just like,
Well, I think
you know,
most the biggest use case will just be like, give me a healthy baby, like
Yeah.
not like I'm
No, that's not going to be the biggest
I'm
use case.
No, at
Serena
first.
Williams' father trying to
Like the early adopters are going to be like,
They'll be like, give me the healthy baby. And they'll be like, cool. Do you also want the baby who's 6'5" or 5'2"? And then people will be like,
Yeah.
looking up tennis contracts and sponsorship fees.
they'll be like, oh, you'll be like, is that like an upsell? So it's like, no, it's like right there with everything else. You just want to pick
no,
it.
it's going to be an upsell, brother. That's an upsell. Like, come on.
They
They're going to
get
have
it.
packages. They'll be like, here's the
No,
athlete
somebody
package.
will offer it like ungated.
Okay.
They'll take all the business, you know? Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the crazy things about humanity right now is like, we're sort of like blending the worlds of like people like people trying to enhance themselves either physically or digitally, and then eventually just becoming those people, right? Like this is like it's the very big thing with like women right now, right? Like at first it was like you were like, oh, you can enhance yourself digitally on the internet with like filters and stuff, and then you're like, well, actually I could just change the way you look entirely with filters, and then people will just change the way they look in real life. They'll just change things about their body, and then you just change the way you are from birth.
Okay, but I think the genetic change is potentially less egregious. I don't know. I want to run this by you. It's like, what
Is it? Why?
Well, what's the downside? Like, I guess what I'm wondering is, what's the downside of like choosing the healthiest specimens to procreate?
Well, I think beauty is like an interesting thing, because I think like a lot of people would be like, well, why would you just like let somebody be born with like a deadly condition where they're gonna live till be 12, right? And we could be like, okay, but like picking your baby to be like hot, it's like different, right? And I think it has like other like implications. Like,
Well, it's still got one half of your. If you're buying embryos, it's got your sperm in there, right? You're saying that's still possible?
what?
That they can, if you got like an ugly dad sperm, and then it's just somehow you're gonna.
No,
find
they'll
a
figure it out. They'll be like, this baby is going to be super hot, which is going to be a weird conversation to have as like a dad. It's
hot
like
a
baby.
daughter, or
yeah, you and your wife go in for like the baby, or they're like, all right, so how hot do you want your daughter to be?
That's too hot.
No, this is a conversation people are going to have. Like, okay, like,
Can't even get it out.
like if I'm like a dad, like I don't want my daughter to be a 10.
No.
No, I think most dads do not want their daughter to be a 10.
nightmare.
It creates a lot of problems, a lot of nightmares, not just for you, but also for them, I think. And I think men like internalize this a lot more, because like as a man, like you grow up and like the kind of hard knocks is like it's a part of your upbringing as a man. And I think like you probably talked about this, but like me and my friends in college and stuff used to talk about like how like the girls who like randomly, the late bloomers, the girls who like randomly got hot when they were like 17 or 18, they were the best girls. Like because they're like cool as fuck, because they weren't like hot their whole life. Like if you're hot when you're like 10, that's too young. It sounds
Yeah,
weird.
I was gonna say.
If you're hot when you're like 12
Strike
and
that
like
from the record.
everybody's just been trying to like bang you for your entire life, like the rest of your personality can like atrophy sometimes. You've never had to go through hardship, you get like entitlement, right? But like if you were just like ugly when you're like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, you probably had to develop a personality. You probably went through some hardship.
Probably got bullied.
You're a hardier you probably got bullied. You're probably like a hardier person. You're like a more interesting person for it all. So if you're just born super hot,
Then you just select the late bloomer phase.
oh yeah, we could just
You
select
ju- yeah, you
early.
just the feature flag.
That would be interesting actually. I would allow my daughter to be like a 10, like if they could guarantee that she wouldn't hit 10 until like 22.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the people who are against sort of like look augmentation past embryo phase, because it's actually affecting natural
You
selection,
mean plastic surgery?
plastic surgery? Like, how about even like braces or headgear or something?
GLP-1s?
Yeah, GLP-1s, like yeah, obviously breast augmentation.
Braces is funny because like I think a lot of people are like obviously against like breast augmentation, but like those, I bet most of those people are not you, Nick, obviously, but like I think most of the
I'm against, actually. I'm against. I'm against.
I just want to throw
I just
you
fucking-
under the bus.
I had a
there.
head tilt when you said it.
But
Anyway, go ahead.
I like that you threw him under.
yeah, I saw my. No, I'm not even gonna go there. But I feel like a lot of people who say that, if you pose the braces thing to them, they're like, "Yeah, I got braces. I'm cool with braces." But like, it's like, yeah, what is the difference there? Why is that? Why is
Right.
that kosher?
Right.
No one likes an underbite, dude. You just want the. Thank God for headgear.
Did you have headgear?
Yeah, I've had all the gear.
Okay,
had
so
all the
you're a
gear.
late bloomer. This explains a lot.
Yeah.
Hardy. Hardy.
Late bloomer.
Yeah, if your daughter's like too hot, and she's 12, you just gotta like just throw headgear on her. Just to,
He's just like,
Fake head-
why do I need this?
Wow. That's incredible.
oh God,
That I like that.
thank you. It's
Yeah,
one of my
I like
greatest
that.
innovations.
Oh God.
So glad my mom doesn't listen to this podcast.
Imagine, okay, now do Shane Gillis on SNL doing a commercial for fake headgear.
Is your daughter too hot? She
Your
becoming a
daughter way too
scumbag.
hot.
Yeah. How about a couple of eggs?
A couple of beers. Oh God, I'm having way too much fun this episode. Hope Armand has immense FOMO listening to this.
Yeah.
Headgear chastity belt. That's right, Max. Chastity dome. Oh,
All right.
oh
I got my laugh attack over with. Do you guys think this enhanced company is going to survive? It looks like they only have 4
The Olympics?
athletes. Yeah, they only have 4 athletes.
That's it?
That's it. They're like, you go to the athletes page, and it's 4 swimmers, and you're like, so.
Well, the fact that it's swimming means that they're not
Yeah.
going to survive.
No, they won't.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh my God, look how much smart! Look, this guy swam so fast.
No,
he
they
swam
won't.
this in 2:45 instead of."
You go to the
2:30.
homepage. It's a year out, and they're like trying to get applicants to apply for track and field and weightlifting.
Yeah, but they're looking at sports that nobody watches to begin with.
I would definitely watch sprinting if I knew they were enhanced.
True.
What
Would
would
be
you?
kind of interesting?
Yeah, you could be right though. They got it all wrong. Instead of they should just do MLB
Go
plus.
straight to football. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Oh God, football would be gnarly.
that would be incredible.
Enhanced curling.
Vision.
Guy, the sweep so fast, the ice just completely melts.
Would pickleball be better enhanced?
Hands dinking.
Pickleball has a drug problem.
Which-
Everybody in the pros play-
nicotine.
everybody in the pros is like on Adderall, and it's like a thing.
Wait, Adderall would help?
Yeah, it like slows the game down for you. Like it like
Yeah, it's limitless, dude.
helps you focus, concentration. It's super key.
MLB baseball had to ban Adderall because all the players were putting it in the coffee in the locker room.
In the Gatorade bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like if there's like a fast moving ball coming at you, it's just like like the tracking is like such a huge part, and like you just lapse focus for a second, and there's like a ball in your chest, you know. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. But people are mad. Like some people don't want to take Adderall, and they're just like, "What the fuck? I got to take Adderall because everybody's taking Adderall."
But then the MLB had to like make exclusions for people who had real ADHD prescribed Adderall, and they were like, okay, well this
Yeah, this
guy-
is the problem with all the drug stuff. Is it's just like so like, nah, but I really do have this disorder, and
yeah.
you know, it's just like Nick with his blood pressure medication.
What? Sorry, what? I wasn't paying attention.
I can't drink today.
For my heart.
I can't drink today. My stomach hurts. My fingers hurt. All right. Can we talk about the last topic?
What's the last topic?
The AI white collar reckoning. This is such a Steven topic from one of my alpha group chats.
Why'd you say it like that? You made me sound like such a douche.
The narrator. I'm the narrator. I get to just make it sound however I want. Someone says, "Yeah, dude, it's over," and like this is happening all over. You have a single person in recruiting or HR who is now 10x. You don't need to hire 10x more. You just consume 10x less resources to hire. A reckoning of efficiency is coming on white collar work that has been a big part of the economy for a while. Haven't thought through what happens on the other side yet, but it's pretty clear that side of it is coming. I think like the Anthropic CEO also said a few weeks ago that the reckoning is coming for half of all entry level white collar jobs.
God.
It was wild.
I could see how it's coming in the future, but you know,
future like a year.
Hold
from
on.
now?
Well, Nick, you're trying to implement this stuff like in your current business.
exactly, and there's
so,
all kinds of issues.
Nick is patient zero here.
yeah, and like, I mean, how easy is it to replace headcount with automated?
Okay,
whatnot?
there's I think where the state of the agents are, because you hear about agents, but the state of them is probably anywhere from like 50 to 90% of the scenarios you can get to work, right? But that next 10% is incredibly hard. Like to get rid of the hallucinations is extremely difficult, and I don't know if anyone has done it yet. I'm sure there are people in pockets of different companies who have figured it out, but you got to remember that these LLMs are probabilistic predictors. Like it is predicting the next letter of what it's saying. And so when you say, okay, in this situation I want you to do this, it's like rolling a dice kind of. It's what the outcome feels like. It rolls a dice, and sometimes it hallucinates. So I'll give you an example in our actual use case. So we are automating a lot of our customer service tickets, like end to end, and we can do about 60% of them dialed end to end. It's flawless. It's better than a human. Responds in 30 seconds. Refunds in order, whatever, perfect. But in some cases, like a customer will be like, hey, I purchased this, it was this much, and I'd like a refund. And so, you know how it parrots you back? It kind of glazes you a little bit.
Wow,
It'll.
that's so great that you thought you wanted a refund.
Well, no, it's like, oh, okay, so this is
product does suck. You're right.
this is what you ordered, and this is how much it costs. Even though it has the tool to look up in the database to see exactly what they ordered and what it actually costs, and oftentimes customers get confused or they bought from a completely different company, and it'll just like hallucinate and be like, cool, I refunded your order. Because it's predicting what a human might say. A human might say, sure, I refunded your order for this thing and this thing, and they didn't refund the order. The address, they completely made up the address. And so in a lot of these cases, I think this is what's happening. And so you have something that kind of works, but it's not production ready at scale. The other issue is you don't really have stakeholders that are willing to take the risk, right? So this thing needs to perform 100% accuracy at scale to get rid of your humans. So one, they're keeping the humans as insurance because like this thing's not really ready yet. And then two, like who is going to be accountable when the AI like refunds the wrong person or doesn't do payroll correctly? Like who gets fired? And so it's probably like someone pretty higher up. And I bet you they're just not ready to like take that kind of accountability for it. So I think the state of them is, and I see all these like agent demos, and the demos look slick. But then when you actually integrate it into other companies, the companies are not ready for, you need to have your data like dialed in and set up for like an agent to consume them. And there's all these different platforms and tools that are used, and they all don't talk to each other. So basically what you end up with is like 80% AI and then 20% like old school automation workflow.
Like linear
Deterministic
logic.
Yeah. So that's what we're saying. I'm like, okay, there's a gap in this scenario. Can we just fucking make it deterministic so that, we don't have this issue? But it's harder than you think. And then what you realize, you don't really have something magical and special. You have something magical and special in 60% of the cases, but then in other times you just have like a glorified Zapier, like workflow. So I don't know. I think that's where the state is now. In a year, like every week we get smarter at getting these hallucinations down. The other part of it that people don't talk about is that we need a fuckload of humans to grade the AI's work, right? So we have to have like a way to test it. And while we could put another AI to watch it, and it does, and it labels like how good it did, but really we need like human level grading. So while we were trying to like, let go of say like 30 people, we hired another 5 people just to continuously watch and monitor and grade it and give feedback. And so it's a really like tough process to do the verification of the output.
Sure, but you acknowledge that everything you read in that prompt is coming probably within like a couple of years, right?
Yeah. I just not is like on the brink, I think is like, it's
but like the fact that like we are all like, oh yeah, 2 years, we're not really on the brink yet. It's just like so emblematic of how fast everything is moving.
I mean, if you go back to our conversation about the AI 2027, it did say 2025 was the year of these hapless agents.
Hapless
that kind of,
agents, yeah.
yeah, and then
very
2026
quickly,
it lets it rip.
yeah.
So, what are the white collar jobs that are most affected? Is it all of them? I mean, like, is it?
Yeah, I mean,
Like
from
90% of everything.
financial
in
analysts, like think about what
Silicon
entry
Valley.
level people do.
Okay,
Like
so let's think about the ramifications then. Like, if most people are laid off.
youth
Look,
unemployment
I mean,
goes.
like, have you seen like the chart of like developer hires?
Like you're saying, the job openings is not as high.
It's fucking
Like software
Yo,
devs?
it's like a shitcoin chart. It's
Okay.
just like already. The chart is already nuked.
Okay,
like
so
software
here's
devs.
like, I'm always like thinking about the stock impact, right? So I think like where my head goes is that corporate profitability is going to be higher than ever.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it will be. Like we're
will be.
measuring our ultimate success by OpEx as a percentage of revenue, and it should go down over time. Right now, it's going up because there's these exploratory R&D investments that we're making. One time write off, that's fine. But I'm hoping that like I can kind of see the sliver of light where OpEx as a percentage of revenue goes down. You become extraordinarily more efficient.
Incredibly profitable as a company, which then should increase your stock price. But then I think about the multiple on the stock price, because the multiple is like what people pay for the stock and those earnings. And like if nobody has a job, then nobody's going to be able to pay for those earnings, even if they're higher.
I mean, we've talked about this before. I do think there'll be new opportunities because there's certain tasks that are now, because let's say the floor of a cost was like $20 an hour before, right? And if there's certain tasks that can be done and the cost is now $1 or pennies to do it, then all these tasks now become economically viable that they weren't before. And as part of a company, that's not that interesting, but there could be entire new businesses or industries developed because now this task was never economically viable for a human to do, even if it was in the Philippines at like $5 an hour. Now it is, and now a new industry can form. Kind of like the old thing is like when you have Uber, you have phones and maps and location, and all of a sudden a new thing gets born. So
Yeah.
I do think that is something interesting.
I mean, I think to your point, like there's always going to be somebody to buy the stuff. I think in an extreme dystopian scenario where everything goes really, really bad, you just get this like complete bifurcation of society into basically like the elites who control the AI / all these companies reaping the mega productivity gains, and then you just get the government over here, and then these two
That's right.
entities just collaborate, and then like, well, who's gonna buy the stuff? Well, the government basically by like taking some of your products, redistributing them to all the plebs so that they don't riot in the streets, and then they'll
Exactly.
buy their widgets in some like Black Mirror episode so that they're sort of like happy with the widgets, and then like you'll take all this profit and the government's happy and then
That's
the
why I
elites
think
are
that
happy.
that's
and
why I
then-
think that the ultimate outcome is UBI. Like with all these people that are displaced, of course there'll be new industries that sprout up, so that like maybe half of them are redistributed into new industries, but half of the workforce as we know it are displaced. But corporate profits are at all-time highs, like astoundingly all-time highs, to the point where we have to redistribute the wealth, and like that will come through government, as Steven's saying, and it will come through the form of like UBI.
Why do you think it's different this time? Because like obviously we've gone through
Technology
so
before.
many
Yeah.
technology revolutions where all these people are displaced and people, they're the the Luddites
Where
were like
what will all the actors
burning
do?
down the factories and shit hundreds of years ago.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
Like why is it different this time? Is it just the speed?
I think the speed is an important component, because like if the labor force gets displaced all at once with nothing to switch into, that's the issue. Like to Nick's point, new industries will sprout up, but it will take a while.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the software thing getting hit first, because like we are noticing amongst our team, like Claude and OpenAI have actually introduced like the equivalent of like a entry level developer agent that can just go about your code base and do things and execute it, issue a pull request, which is basically like, here's my draft code change. I would like to deploy this. And then a human can check it, make sure it's all good and actually deploy it. But that that part is that's real. You know, it can go look for bug changes or update versions of your software that you're using automatically that were just kind of grunt level work that might take another body. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
shit's wild. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you think about how technology unfolds, there was a time, right, where somebody was writing books, and then Johann Gutenberg rolled out the printing press, and then like a lot of people lost jobs, right? And then those people who lost the jobs, like you could have gone up to them and been like, "Don't worry, someday this technology will enable your children to become social media managers." They'd have been like, "The fuck are you talking about?" It's like, it's cool. It's just gonna take like 700 years.
Well, that's what we told all the people lost the manufacturing jobs. Like, don't worry, you're going to be able to become a search engine optimizer. And
Learn to code.
they were not stoked. Yeah, learn to code. They were
Oh,
not
God,
stoked
the
with
learn
that.
to code thing
Yeah,
is very funny.
and that created
And now all
Donald
the-
Trump.
Well, the learn to code was the response to the people talking to them back the other way.
Yeah.
And then those people got nuked for some reason.
Well, now imagine you learn to code and AI just wrote you out of your coding
Learn to
job.
code was bad advice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Now you just need to know English to code.
Oh my God. It's
I mean, we got a few people in here who could create, the apps are kind of like janky, but you just talk to the chat and be like, I needed to do this. Here's a screenshot. Here's this. And it kind of is like a version of a mock-up,
Vibe code your way to a
vibe code your
MVP.
way.
I just feel like everything about technological progress is just like hopelessly accelerating the complete bifurcation of the species into like superhumans and non-superhumans. And there's going to be this like eventual like widespread political debate that we kind of see like the early seeds of right now with like I think like the homeless crisis is like a good example of this, right? Where you have people who are just so hopelessly detached from society with like realistically no chance of like ever joining back in. And then you have like kind of two choices. Like one is like you just basically lock them all up either in like jail or like an institution. And the other is like you just put them like on the dole forever, basically. I would just give them housing or something. That doesn't work that well, as we've seen. But that little like that's like a microcosm of what's going to happen in the future, right? Because you can see like decades from now, like some human just embracing this. They're just like not just the AI, but all the enhancement stuff. They just become like super productive, just like these like elite. And then you're going to have like, a huge chunk of society that is just like a gigantic drag on like all of the resources of society because they're not producing
Right.
stuff. And then there's going to be this like crazy debate about like what to do. And there will be people who are just like, what if we just drop them all off on an island? What if we just like ship them all off to Iceland and like have like a reality show?
I kind of agree with you. Like my thinking is the question isn't what happens when no one's hiring software developers or what happens when no one's hiring entry-level financial analysts. It's the better question. I think the right question is what happens when everyone is a developer, can be a developer. Everyone without skill can develop code. What happens when everyone can become a financial analyst without having to go to school and do all these things? Like what can happen? And that was what makes me optimistic. But in that, you have to assume that someone has the like agency and motivation to kind of like realize there's all these opportunities and kind of do something with it, right? And yeah, I mean, I feel like we have that now. Like some people, are more motivated than others, and
They
then-
are, but like we also see that society as a whole over the last like 5, 6, 7 decades, probably maybe more, has been trending towards making people like more reliant on society as a whole, not like less. And like the more everything trends that way, the more when you get to these sort of like forks in the road where people have to like get off their ass and like, oh, I gotta like make changes to my life. I gotta adopt this stuff or I'm gonna be left behind. And people are just like, nah, I'll just like collect a check or something. And as like the bar becomes progressively like higher for people to jump over because they're just like, I can't ever learn this, then
it's funny.
you have like that cushion, but that cushion just creates more and more and more people who like opt into the
But there is
opting
something to say
out.
like the bar to like jump in the new technology will be a lot lower than in bars past, right? Where it was like learn to code. It's like, okay, well, I don't have like 4 years and nor the apt, nor the motivation, nor the money to do that. But if it's just like, well, you just talk to the chat and then you have new skill. I think that could be a little different this time, where the bar to jump in. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I have a little anxiety of like, even though we're using tools and playing around, like me personally, I'm like, man, I better make sure I kind of stay sharp because, you know, not that I'm going to obsolete myself out of like an ownership position in my own company, but I just, relative to the competition, I don't want to get left behind. And
What's like the most extreme version of that you can kind of like play out? Like AI becomes so ubiquitous and powerful, and then like also robotics becomes so ubiquitous and powerful that basically like everybody just has access to like some superhuman AI and some superhuman robot at their fingertips because they both become commoditized, and then that person doesn't actually have to work for all that much. They just have to like sort of they can just think anything into existence, both physically and digitally.
potentially, I mean, digitally sounds more like I can get my hands around,
Yeah.
right?
But like we talk about like the white collar thing. Like initially we are gonna do we are gonna fast play that like funny South Park episode where all the handymen are like driving around and
And Bugattis,
like
yeah.
Bugattis and the lawyers are like outside Home Depot. That's like happening for sure. Like the white collar people are actually fucked first, which is like kind of wild. But then eventually like the robots are coming for all the blue collar people, right?
Yeah, potentially.
And then so
Mm-hmm.
everybody's kind of in the same place.
Yeah, but doesn't there's still this idea of like the firm in capitalism, right? There is a company, and the company is started with a founder and capital, and there will still be entrepreneurship. Like I feel like it'll just spread out into a bunch of seeds where we kind of see the gig economy, where everyone's a little bit of an entrepreneur now because they drive for DoorDash and they do a little Uber and they have a little side gig on Fiverr. It's like now everyone will have, you know, these little hustles in which they can spin up, you know, content or apps or whatever, and it doesn't look like
That would be
I have a career and this is my career path. It's just like I cobbled together a bunch of income through
The more extreme version of what you're talking about is that, like, do you ever watch Star Trek?
not
Probably
really.
not.
No.
You know, well, you have like the replicator device where they just can just make anything, and it's just like the stand-in for like infinite abundance. So if like AI sort of becomes this like godlike tool that just sort of like grants infinite abundance, but like ultimately like maybe like the government captures that, and again like a couple of elites, then like the very idea of like of capitalism could fall away because like there just is like the ability to just create anything infinitely out of anything, but it's just held by the government and like these like couple of like powerful people. So like what what is the incentive for anybody to start businesses or anything? There's just like this like entity that can basically leverage this ultra powerful technology to create anything out of thin air basically and just give it to you and to keep you like this like nice docile
Nah, there'll always
non-revolting
be like
person.
an
They like can just
open
give you everything.
open source, decentralized compute like tension.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
that optimistic
That's
version.
it's
for
an
sure.
optimistic view that Nick's espousing, and I
I mean,
agree.
I want to be optimistic as well. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about how it could go wrong.
Where it goes wrong is what you're saying. I agree, is that like all this power gets in the hands of the few, where like capital is held, where the capital is the only ones who can like manifest things out of their minds, and then the destitute can't. They don't have that power.
Have you guys seen there's this movie on HBO Max called Mountainhead? I think it's called Mountainhead. Yeah.
Just came out.
It just came out.
Fountainhead?
Yes.
It's
Play on Fountainhead.
Steve
Really?
Carell and
Steve Carell's in there. It's basically like four titans of tech industry. They were buddies for a long time, and now like one has the equivalent of like a Facebook, one has the equivalent of like an OpenAI, one is like a Peter Thiel equivalent who's got like defense tech, and the other guy's just some super. He's only worth $500 million. He's kind of like
Poor guy.
they call him like the soup kitchen guy because he's only worth $500 million. He's just got a cool meditation app that's worth $500 million. But in any way, first of all, the movie's horrendous. Like such a failure of like. It could have been epically funny.
Yeah, that pitch is like great.
No, just but it does play through these story arcs of what you're. They play on like every trope that you can imagine of what could happen with AI, but essentially it paints a vision where these four guys are sitting there and one unleashed this AI content creator that everything looks real, so everyone created fake things like Pakistan is now preparing to launch nukes at India, and it caused actual riots and crime and riot. Like one person posted a video of them desecrating religious sites, so that caused a fucking war instantly, and no one could tell the difference. And they're sitting there and they're kind of like in a horrible screenplay writing, but just joking around like, we could kind of take over the world now. Like, you are embedded in every defense tech thing. I control all the people through the social network. You have the AI that can like solve all the problems, and is kind of just them, playing around with the idea. So, yeah, sometimes that stuff, that sci-fi type stuff comes real. I could see
Yeah.
it.
I mean, this is like an interesting kind of like weird prompt to think through. Like, what if you, Nick or Bonnie, suddenly stumbled upon like the Star Trek replicator and like basically like superpowered AGI? So you actually for some reason had the potential to literally create anything physical like instantaneously, and then also you had like superhuman digital intelligence, and you could basically control the whole world. It's like, what would you do?
I mean,
You would, if you were like a bad person, like you would probably like give everybody everything they wanted. You just give them infinite stuff to appease them, right?
yeah,
So they didn't revolt.
I do get your point, because like the typical route is I want thing, so I go get job to make money to buy thing. But like if you have the replicator device, you just go straight to thing.
But
and you
or would
skip
that go like awry? Like it's like, okay, like you're like, oh, just give everybody in society everything they've ever wanted, and then they'll be happy. But then it just goes off the rails. Like everybody's actually not happy.
And then everyone needs a meditation app, for mindfulness.
That's like the unlock. You just pair it with the meditation app, and then everybody's chill. Thank you.
Yeah, you can
Nice.
just roll it in. All right, boys. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, that's a good spot to wrap it.
Okay. I
Sorry,
liked it.
Eric, if you had a different opinion. I just said that.
No, meditation app. Meditation app is the final
That seems
answer.
like a good close.
All right, real quick. Metaplanet is your Japanese
Metaplanet.
MSTR from Corby in the chat. Tom Nam
Corby.
says, already left Kurt smashed by YOLO, the robotics play. And Max also likes the headgear chastity belt. All right, guys. Chat, thanks for joining us live. We always appreciate it. Makes it fun. Yeah, if you're just listening, come hang out with us Wednesdays at 5 p.m. PST. Love to have you. All the links are at alfalfapod.com, and we will see you next week. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Peace.